minutes to walk you through the general concepts of sections, columns, as well as elements and paddings and margins. So as I've showed you previously, if you want to add an element, you can just simply drag from the left hand side and then just simply drop it inside. Now the thing is, automatically whenever you're adding elements with Elementor, a section and a column will be created for that particular element. We just dropped in the text editor element, and now you would notice right up here we have this blue line here. This is going to be the section holding the column that's holding the text editor. Notice right here you have got this brown button right here, and if I hover on it, it says edit column. And now this is the actual element itself, the actual text editor. So once again, the way Elementor works is that you will have an element, whether it's an image, a video, a button, and then a column will contain that element, and then both the column and the element will be inside a section. So it's kind of like a hierarchical structure: section, column, then the actual element. Now, just like with editing the element, where you'll have access to content, style, advanced, you can also edit the column holding that element. Right here you can see I've hovered on the button here, it says edit column. You click in there and then you'll have access to layout, style, and advanced. So with layout, you can do things like maybe reduce the length of the column, you can change the alignment, you can add an HTML tag for it, you can style the column. Maybe you want to add like like a black background, like red background, you want to add an image, things like that. So there are a lot of things you can do with the column. Now if you right click on the edit column button, you can do things like add a new column, duplicate the column. You could even copy and paste the style. Maybe you added like a black background, you change the font style of the text, and you want to reuse that style. You simply copy the style and then you can paste the style elsewhere. The same thing goes with the section in here as well. If I click on the edit section button up here, now you see I have access to layout, style, advanced. Like with layout, I can change this to full width. I can maybe change the length of the width, make it very, very wide or very, very, very narrow. I can change the height as well if I wanted to. I can do a lot of things. Same goes with the style. Again, I can add like a background color if I wanted to. I can do several things like add motion effects and so on. And just like with the column, if I right click on the edit section button right here, you can see I can do things like edit the section, and I can duplicate. I can even save as a template, which we'll talk about when we're using Elementor Pro. Now, let me quickly talk to you about the concept of margins and paddings, because this is going to be very, very, very important. Now, I've got a section in here holding this text editor, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to add an image into another section, and let me just quickly choose an image to work with. Let me go to my media library. Let me choose this image right here. Okay, now take a look at this. Okay, let me add a background color to the section here. Don't worry, I'll show you all this a bit later. All right, what exactly are margins? Margins are used to add space between sections. So right now we've got a section here holding this text editor with the red background. We have another section in here holding the image. So if I wanted to create plenty of space between these two, I could actually use an element in here called the spacer element. You can see I can drag spacer and then drop it in between these two sections. But another way to do so would be to go to either one of these sections. So I'm going to go to the first section in here. I'm going to go to advanced, and then right here you've got margin. Now please note that by default you can add margins and paddings to all four sides of a section, to the left, right, top, and bottom. Right now, if I was to add a margin to either top or bottom, you can see they are chained, which means whatever you add to top will be added to the bottom as well. If you wanted to add values for one specific side, you want to start from 0 first of all. Okay, 0. You come in here, and now you can see you can unlink the value. So right now you can simply add for top. Our right and left margins for Elementor are set to auto by default. You can't make any changes in there. But now notice that if I begin to add margins to the bottom of the first section, Notice that the section holding the image is now being pushed down. That's because I'm creating space between this first section and this second section. So also, if I wanted to, I could do the reverse for the second section. I can go to edit section in here for the second one, go to advanced, unlink the values, and now instead of adding margin at the bottom, I can add at the top. So now you can see we're pushing the section holding the image downwards from the first section. So that's what margins are used for. They're used for creating spacing between sections. What of paddings? Because right here you've got paddings. Paddings are used to create space between an element and its border or its column. As an example, I'm going to use the text editor in here. Alright, so I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go to advanced. And now right here, you can see I've got the padding available. I'm going to unlink the values. And now if I begin to add padding right here, you can see I'm creating space between the text editor and its own section right here at the top. I can go to the bottom, do the exact same thing as well. So you can see right now I'm basically creating space for my text editor within its own section. That's what paddings are used for. They're used to create space for an element inside of its own column or the section. That's basically what our paddings are used for. So that's the difference between margins and paddings. Margins are used to create space between sections. Paddings are used to create space between a section and the element contained inside of it. Hopefully you now have a good understanding of what margins and paddings are. One more quick thing, you could also rearrange sections by simply clicking and dragging. So if I wanted to move the section holding the margin, holding the image to the top, I would simply click and hold the edit section button. Now you can see it's allowing me to move. I can move it all the way up here. Just wait for the blue dash or the blue line to appear and then simply release and then drop the image right there. So you do have this option in here with Elementor as well that allows you to rearrange sections. You could also rearrange columns. Let me just quickly duplicate this column in here. Let me change this image real quick just to give you a very quick demonstration. Let me choose this image. So I can simply click where you have the edit column button and then rearrange. There you can see rearrange back, as you can see. So you do have that option available with Elementor as well. So don't worry, as we begin to work with Elementor, you begin to discover a lot more features and functionalities of Elementor. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next class.